Like,
He's
when's
got
the
a
last,
government job his whole life. He can't have money.
He could
when's
have
the last,
endorsements if he wanted, you'd think, right? Ed
Yeah.
Bud
Astronauts
was
get sponsors?
whatever.
Surely.
Well, this
I
was
can't-
like he's
Name
more like
two
the
things
Buzz.
astronauts sponsored by.
Astronaut ice cream.
I feel like our
don't think
astronauts
so.
didn't do a good job of
Tang, maybe?
of taking advantage.
Yeah, I was
going to
say Tang or.
but in this universe, the astronauts are like celebrities. They're a big deal because they've, changed the world. Remember when Molly like jumped and caught that tank or whatever? Which,
that wasn't Molly.
Whoever it was.
Oh,
No, Molly's the blind chick. The other chick who's like got
The
a
hot
bad
one who
haircut.
became president.
Yeah, the lesbian one who became president. Yeah,
Even
I like the
hotter.
alternate reality as much as anything that's going on in space and the sci-fi in that show. I just like that we get to see, no George Bush in this reality, huh? Gore just won, and
What did Bush
no
do?
Clinton. There was no
He
Bush.
was a minor party, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
you
they-
don't-
Kyle's here in
right.
Texas.
The alternate reality is really interesting. And Kyle made me pay attention to it when he pointed out, like, in 1970, they had basically FaceTime, and it's like, yeah, that shit didn't happen until like 2015 or something.
yeah.
So, and there's a
wheeling
lot
around
of,
CRT TVs with people's faces in them, and it's like, what the fuck?
yeah. And there's a lot of like little things from our current that exist in like the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and that I like a lot.
Yeah. It's and it's
This
we talked
season's
about
not
doing it for you.
lighting my fire as much.
I agree. This season has been a lot about interpersonal stuff, and it has taken place mostly within gray walls of a studio. Whereas I like to see them doing space cowboy shit, and I'm hoping they're saving their budget for these last episodes because the premise of the show is that we're on Mars now. It's early 2000. It's like 2001. I don't think 9/11 happens. They have a different bombing, but at the Space Center, maybe that takes its place. But there's a big asteroid that has gotten knocked out of the asteroid belt, and it's going to pass by Mars, and it's full of iridium. Thanks. And they're like, it's worth $10 trillion or something like that. Like, we gotta. And I'm thinking, like, I don't think that's how like supply and demand works. Like, it's worth $10 trillion because we have so very little of it. But once we have it, now we have so very much of it all of a sudden. So you're going to have to create a monopoly out of this. You're going to have a De Beers diamond situation.
You have to have a sale, sell it to like half off or something.
But that's not what we're headed toward. The idea is that America, Soviet Union, probably North Korea, and this private company are all going to take, some of that tritium. And so you'll get 2 trillion and you'll get 4 trillion. That's going to happen at some point. But I'm like, no, now it's definitely not how economic things work. Like now they can just flood the market with tritium if they want and ruin this whole thing, which is what the Americans would do because they, ruin the Soviets because currently they're the ones creating that have it all on Earth, this rare earth element. So I don't know. I'm hoping there's some space cowboy shit when it's time to capture that asteroid. But for the last 6 episodes, we've mostly just kind of talked in a base.
Do you think there are any rare earth elements like at the bottom of the sea we haven't found yet? Like there's like another big revolution,
like deposits of them,
like a deposit of something we don't even know about.
Probably somewhere.
So
we're finding them all the time. We found them.
No.
We found lithium in Maine and in the Salton Sea in California recently.
Yeah,
well, I
There's
think
lots of earth elements that can be found.
Well, I think what Taylor's talking about is like a new substance, but we know what all
like
the
a new
substances are.
element.
But they've got the
Element X.
periodic table and they can just fill in the gaps and add more atomic weight and see what's there. Like there's no surprises hanging out at the. It's like, unobtainium, here it is.
Or there shouldn't be any surprises, but we don't know. As a
Can't there be
scientist,
new
you should
ones?
always hope to find.
Yeah, there could be new
something.
ones. Definitely,
Yeah.
like a new compound down there.
No, so Kyle, hear me out. I'm on your team with we have them. We know like this is 1, this is 122. I'm not suggesting there's more in the middle because they're just 1 proton apart. What about on the end? What if there's 126 protons? Am I doing this right? In the next atom, and we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. What if
Well,
there's another one with the atomic
I think
weight
they do
of
that.
17, but there's like a bunch of quark madness going on in there that changes it in a way we don't understand.
Well, they
Work would probably.
Well, I don't know what you just said, but to answer Woody's question,
I don't either.
But to answer Woody's question, which is a real thing, they do that, right? And with the Large Hadron Collider or whatever, they momentarily create those elements at those it's usually really high pressures or temperatures that require for them to exist for these brief moments. So the one that Bob Lazar was talking about they're like, can you believe that in the 70s he knew about this element? It's like, yeah, he added some protons to the thing before it. Like that's where you get. Like, no, he knew there'd be 126th element. Like, there's 127th too. Like
I have this thought. It's so stupid. Probably people who know what they're talking about are laughing. But like, what if it's like prime numbers where, oh yeah, 126 wasn't prime, 127 wasn't prime, 120, but somewhere down the way we found one that's stable. We didn't know that was
That's
coming.
basically how it works, because what you're dealing with is electrons in their valence orbits, and they have to be balanced with each other. If you remember this from high school, maybe you've got 2, 4, and then I think it's 8, 16, and they're usually some multiple of an even number.
Just goes
and they have to be in
for the rest. Am I crazy?
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Some multiple of that, but they also have to be in certain orbits and valences that we understand as being stable. So there's like 2 in the first orbit, 4 in the second, and blah blah blah. So when it comes to predicting or creating new elements, you can't just add 1 electron and be like, okay, now we've got a new thing, because it won't exist. It'll just fly off unless it hits one of those stable orbits that it needs to be in, and it probably has to have a lot of friends in order to do that.
Yeah, a lot of the elements we make seems like it's like, oh, we made it. It lasted. We made 1/millionth of a gram of it for 3 seconds, and it really sucks, guys. We don't want to be making more of that because it immediately deteriorates and it would blow up an area the size of fucking Saskatchewan if we had 10 of them.
Antimatter.
That's antimatter you're talking about, and we need a lot of that so that we can have our Star Trek warp engines.
Antimatter? That's a bunch of hullabaloo.
No, it's not. It's very
You just
real.
described it. You just described it, and the science around it very accurately.
Well, then I retract my statement.
We were all very impressed for a moment.
What's your opinion on dark energy?
Oh, hate it. 2 thumbs down. No, I'm about light energy. We need to be able to see what's going on.
How did we get here?
We were talking about interesting elements and things like
we were
metal
talking about
deposits in the bottom of the sea.
Yeah, we're
derailed
talking
us.
about harvesting tritium from an asteroid.
Yeah,
iridium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not how that's going to work. So I look forward to seeing them be like, actually, it turned out no one took basic economics, so the world is ruined. and it's or like, and again, I don't know anything, but I imagine when they bring these huge vessels full of tons and tons of that rare radioactive element down to Earth, like what if one burns up in the atmosphere and like
deep shit,
and 10,000 tons of iridium just go into the does our planet glow in the dark now?
I think we all just get stronger.
I mean, it already glows in the dark, kind of. I guess it's, but does it like really glow green now?
Did you guys see Don't Look Up, the Netflix one?
I liked.
With DiCaprio.
Yeah, DiCaprio. It's got an asteroid that's coming. I love the ending. How the president. It's like, we're going to get all the metal off this asteroid and we're going to break it up and we're going to bring it down. And Peru agreed to let us like hit their country with a tsunami for so many $1 billion or whatever. And of course they bungle it. The asteroid just smashes into the planet.
It was a global warming, I think, parody.
Roughly a parody of global warming and how people treat that.
Yeah, and like people just denied it that there was even an asteroid until like at first lots of people deny that an asteroid is coming our way, and then a lot of people still do, and then maybe it's 50-50 and it seemed really like sort of current politics, and eventually it gets within like binoculars view, like you can see the asteroid coming to America. It's too late, and there's still a ton of deniers that are like, fuck you, it's not real,
it's gonna burn up.
Literal campaign. Don't look up. Don't look at it.
How big would an asteroid have to be? This seems like the kind of thing like Kyle would watch a YouTube video on. Like how big to end life here?
All life?
Like all life.
Only
like not like wiping out the dinosaurs a little bit.
Okay,
and like
so for that to happen, so I do know this. For that to happen,
I knew you would.
You're not talking about an asteroid anymore. You're talking about like a rogue planet would have to hit us. Because the whole crust of the Earth has to liquefy for something like that to happen, for all the life in the caves.
I thought it would spit up enough shit that it would.
We're talking more like dinosaur times.
You're talking about way worse than that. We're talking about when the moon formed times. If you're going to get rid of the bacteria,
I might be wrong, but I don't think that was Taylor's question. I don't think he was trying to eliminate every. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a figure of speech. I'm pretty sure Taylor meant like when the asteroid wiped out the dinosaurs.
An extinction event.
you're technically right. To wipe out all life is to remove all bacteria, and it takes a lot more energy to do that.
So the planet would basically have to be cracked up and totally destroyed to like get rid of all the amoebas and shit. But if we're talking like do they have guesses on how big the dinosaur one was?
It's a Chicxulub impact crater in right above South America, like Gulf of Mexico.
Because I thought it was like some alarmingly small thing where it's like the size of Rhode Island would create enough shit that it would be like, oh well, there's no sun for anyone.
Rhode Island isn't that small. If you
what do you look
at a whole state?
I googled it. The first result said 6 miles wide, which is actually bigger than I expected. I thought it was going to be like 3 kilometers or something.
Same.
Yeah. Okay. A 6 mile asteroid. How much can our atmosphere take? Do you think? Like, I know it burns up little ones all the time.
Good question, right? Yeah, like we get hit with asteroids, or maybe meteors. I don't know. I don't fully know the difference.
Meteors burn up all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how big were they before they started burning?
Like exactly.
It depends what they're made of. So if it's like an iron, it's a big metallic thing made of iron.
Let's hope that's not it. Maybe like one made of tin.
But a lot of them are made of like ice.
Yeah,
if it's made of ice, they tend to burn up.
Yeah.
More than
I know you're impressed with my science.
That checks out. We can survive any size ice one mostly.
Do you know about the Tunguska blast?
Yes.
You don't have to tell me.
Very interesting.
No, I don't know anything about it.
Okay, so this happened in Siberia, like maybe 1909, roughly. What happened was, I'm going to skip like the mysterious, like no one knows what created it. What happened was a meteorite or whatever came in and exploded, air bursted above the ground, and created this ridiculous event where huge amounts of the Siberian wilderness are flattened. The trees are laying out. It hurt people so far away that it's unbelievable, like deafened them and stuff, and broke glass windows. And there's a lot of like conspiracy theorists who will say that it was an alien attack or the first nuclear weapon, and then the technology.
Test.
Nikolai Tesla's death ray went awry
30 years early, right? In 1909 again. But that's what happened. It's the Tunguska event or the Tunguska blast, and there's pictures of like the trees and stuff, and it's wild how big that event was.
How big was
did you say it was? I was
projectile?
Googling while you talked.
You'll have to Google to like get the. I don't know any of that.
I trust your
guess. I was Googling while you talked. I found some interesting stuff.
It's a city destroyer, that kind of big.
The original question that Taylor may have asked: 60 miles. A 60-mile wide asteroid would destroy all life on Earth. But what surprised me was a 300-meter asteroid, but 1,000 feet, would be a continental devastation event. Like North America, 1,000-foot asteroid.
Damn.
That's not that big.
No, that's really
not when you think about the size of things get in space.
60 miles isn't that big when you think about how big the Earth is. Like, it's still huge, but damn. Like to end everything.
60 miles sounds ginormous until you put it on a planetary scale, at which point it's like,
but dude, there must really be like nothing flying around like ratio wise out there, because if it was
Jupiter's protecting us.
Well, I mean like around us.
Saturn
like
too.
If we were just
it can't, because Jupiter's protecting us. That's one of those things where people, those people who believe in intelligent design, they do have. It's like, don't you realize that everything's kind of set up perfectly for us here, even from a scientific point of view? It's like, and it kind of is, like from that
Goldilocks zone is what they call it.
Yeah.
From that magnetosphere that's protecting us from all the radiation and the sun's rays and everything. And then again, Jupiter kind of using its gigantic mass to keep the asteroids from just warping in here. It's sort of sweeping up the solar system, keeping the debris away. And the one that killed the dinosaurs was probably just one thing bumping another thing, right? And some chain reaction.
I bet Saturn is helping out too, because it's pretty.
I doubt it.
Huge. You don't think Saturn's carrying its weight?
I think Saturn's so far away it doesn't matter.
You guys are missing the moon. You see all those craters on the moon? Those were meant for us. The moon is eating a lot of those.
Moon.
Also about like the Goldilocks zone. Without the moon doing what it does with the tides and creating a lot of the ocean water flow, life may not have come to exist or evolved as we know it.
Yeah.
Why does Saturn have rings?
It's it won't for very much longer. In a like a million years or something, they'll be gone because they're dissipating. It's just debris that's rotating it in that gravitational band. Uranus also has rings.
Yeah,
Uranus
kinda
rings are
brown.
really interesting when you view them in
I
infrared.
knew you'd go there. I knew you'd do it.
Brown ring
Uranus-
of Uranus.
Uranus is also the only planet that rotates, north to south because of some impact and knocked it off its axis forever ago.
I wonder if that'll
Science.
straighten out.
I bet it would have by now.
Once you go that way.
You know, one thing I like about The Expanse, if we're talking TV shows, every time a spaceship needs to slow down, it doesn't just turn off the jets like a boat and like coast to a stop. Like every other geospace show does. They turn around backwards and turn the jets on for reverse thrust.
Yeah,
like,
to some extent, it makes sense in Star Trek because, well, they're not too. They have their cake and eat it too with the way warp travel works. I really like
It's
when
like magic.
Yeah, I like the when sci-fi goes through. I hate it when they fold a piece of paper and stick the pencil through. Like, stop doing that. I get it, but I like
was
when
really
they go,
cool in Event Horizon.
and then every other time it's been done. But I like when they're like, "All right, everybody ready? Boom!" and they like hit the button, and now we're there. Like I like the idea that we just like literally folded space up, and now like we moved 6 inches to the left, and now we're on the other side of the galaxy. I like that kind of space travel.
You don't like the hard sci-fi, like what Woody's talking about, where you have to spend half your time decelerating so you don't slam into the target and kill everybody.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't need
love
any
that
math
too.
in my TV shows. I'm fine with them just showing
Dude,
up.
I love math in my sci-fi audiobooks. Like I didn't realize TV shows are for casual entertainment, lowest common denominator, but audiobooks, or I guess they were one-time real books, I just don't read, like they dive deep into this stuff and explain the engineering conundrums that they're bumping into. And oftentimes I'm multitasking when I listen to an audiobook, and I don't have enough cognitive horsepower to like ride a motorcycle and understand this engineering conundrum at the same time, so I'm like straining. I like it a lot.
Did you listen
I'm
to
glad
the
to hear.
Martian?
I love those kind of books too. Hard sci-fi. Like, what are you reading? I'm curious.
Woody,
well, I was
read the
thinking of Three Body Problem when I said that, but the Bobaverse also has that, but with more comedy to some extent.
You should watch or read The Martian. It is full of hard science. I think the math adds up to and mostly. I mean, he does.
I've heard it's an
wacky
amazing
things.
book.
Obviously, there's that part
It
where
is
he
a good
cuts
book.
the hole in his palm and uses that to Iron Man. You know, there's some silliness that goes on.
Did
Did
you
you
read
like
that?
Ring World?
Yeah, I
Ring
read
World
it,
is what Halo was
few years
based on.
ago.
It's super hard sci-fi. They went all out to do this little miniature Dyson sphere thing.
I've never heard.
Oh,
of
an
Ring World.
O'Neill cylinder or some. What would it be called? They've all got different names. The hypothetical superstructures.
The Dyson sphere is the one that goes around a star,
around the
and then
sun.
everything else is sort of a downgrade from that.
Yeah, because the other things are things that like a civilization would live in, like the idea that we're all in this big sort of halo ring type situation, and it's moving across to go to the next star because
What is this self-replicating probe called? That's the one that it fascinates me.
Von Neumann probe.
Yes, von Neumann probes are really cool. That's something that humanity should work on.
That's the plot of All You Need Is Kill. What was the Tom Cruise? And he's in a time loop and he's murdering everybody. The day after tomorrow. But the book is called All You Need Is Kill. And the book actually explains what the fuck the aliens are. The aliens are a von Neumann probe. They sent it because at the time this planet had no intelligent life, and it was just supposed to land and replicate and set up for them to colonize. And from the aliens' perspective in the book, they're like, oh shit, there's an intelligent civilization there, and our von Neumann probes are murdering all of them, and we can't even get there to stop it for like another 500 years.
So they're gonna lose. the von Neumann probe people are gonna fuck us up.
Well, we win.
You're underestimating Tom Cruise.
Oh.
If you've never,
I didn't know Tom Cruise was a part of it. Of course we win.
Tom Cruise was a huge part of it. All right, let me just say that movie is really good.
I'm with Kyle.
That's one of the best Tom Cruise movies, and that's saying something because wackadoo as he is, he makes good fucking movies. But the premise, Taylor, because you don't seem to know, is that there's a war against the aliens, and it's kind of mimics World War II. We're about to invade Normandy Beach again because that's they've pushed us back to England, and that's where the forces are.
Do the aliens show up and they see like a synagogue and they're like, they're here too? Like,
and so on the eve of like D-Day, Tom Cruise, he's not supposed to be fighting. He's like the guy on TV, like, rallying the troops. He's the CNN interviewed general. the main guy's like, yeah, I'm sending you in tomorrow. Yeah, and just like throws him in with a ragtag unit. He instantly dies, but some alien goo gets on him, and now he has the power that they have, this precognition that allows him to repeat that day over and over. And so
Groundhog
just
Day.
like when you play, like, you ever play it? We've all played video games, and like first time we die when we walk in because we didn't know the bridge was going to fall on us. Next time shit falls past as we walk by. If someone saw us do that, they'd be like, what the fuck? Do you see him dodge that bridge? It's like he heard it coming. Tom Cruise has been living in this Groundhog Day reality, fighting aliens for we don't even know how long. By 3/4 of the way through the movie, he's like Neo in the Matrix in his mech suit. He's
just died so many times.
At first, he doesn't know how to use it, and he doesn't know how to turn the gun on. By the end, he's doing trick shots and like running around in craters, like, you know, when a motorcycle's like using the. He's doing that while shooting machine guns out of his fists and rockets out of his ass.
Well, how does he
have such a good progression of his skills? It was like watching a condensed anime. You could just watch him get better every fight. He nailed every scene.
There's a woman in the movie who had the power before he did, and so he like talks to her. I think so. He talks to her, and she starts training him. So he would like, I don't know, sprain an ankle. So clearly this afternoon he won't be a good version of himself. She shoots him in the head, and they start over again. And he's like, no, my ankle's okay. And she doesn't buy it. She kills him. It happens like again and again and again. She's constantly murdering him.
Good.
And I forget the details of the plot, but if they don't kill him, they might not be able to repeat today. So she needs to make sure that every failed try happens with the Tom Cruise murder, and it happens.
How does he outclass the aliens? Because I'm assuming they're all reliving the day too, right? Or
eventually he finds where the head alien central intelligence is and blows it up.
Yeah, the thing that's giving him the power and their like generals, the alien generals also have this power to know what happened the day before. So that's why to humanity, they're just wiping the floor with us because they know they probably lost 8 Normandy beaches. And then on the 9th one, they're like, we know where they land. We know what they do if they win here. And they just like wipe the floor with us. And they're sort of turning that power on them through this fluke that happens in Tom Cruise's death. It's a real good movie, though.
You should definitely check
Emily
it out.
Blunt's got this fucking helicopter blade sword. They've got mech suits that make them like, say, 8 times stronger than a person should ever be, but not like
almost advanced warfare suits.
Yeah, but you're still very vulnerable. You're all exposed. It's almost like it was something
like from Aliens, almost.
Yeah, you're a little more fast than that, but same thing.
She's got a helicopter blade made into a sword that might be one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Yes, because in the field she had ripped it off and like and now they fashioned like a handle.
She has 2 nicknames. I'm trying
Full Metal Bitch.
Full Metal Bitch.
And the angel of the French place Verdun.
Valkyrie, I think.
Angel of Verdun, I think, or
sure.
Verdun. It's a French
name, but I wouldn't bet on it.